Hello, this is Godel. Welcome back to Islands of Feed the Beast Interactions Remastered. Yeah, totally has islands here. So today we are doing stuff. I looked up how this dye mixer work. It is not good, so we're getting rid of it. And I'm so mad I punched a hole in my house. Yep, exactly. Basically, you have to use the lens to mix the colors with the colors that are in there. So I don't think you really just get straight up, the colors you want. You kind of have to play around with it. At least that's how I understood it from the description I read. Anyways, today, as you can see, I have set up all of the other stuff here. So you can tell these are P2Ps because they have kind of a different appearance. The interface has like this, I don't know how to describe it, more like metallic finish on the side, and then these are just kind of like dark gray blocky. So at a distance, you can tell what's P2P and what's not P2P. And this one with the blue notch, that means it's a dual interface. So, um, I set up all of the machines over here, and then I set up the extruders over here. So I made 8 extruders. So as before, we have pipes, rings, small gears, regular gears, rotors, bolts, and then I added 2 new ones. I added long rods because the only other way to make long rod would either be um, crafting table recipe or the forge hammer, and that's after a lathe. So this potentially saves us a lathe recipe. And then a large pipe, which we use for a few things. I was just going through recipes that various pipes are used in, and large pipes seem to be the best use case. I looked at tiny pipe and small pipe and huge pipe as well, but none of them were really used that frequently. Like huge pipe was used in a couple spots, and small pipe was used in a couple spots. Tiny pipe like wasn't used at all. Anyways, so those are all set up now, and I started just setting up recipes that we used to have. So this is something we need for the super tanks. Here's all the rotors that we're going to need, presumably. If we need more, I could always add a pattern card in here or take something out. Like I even made stuff for the future. Like I have osmiridium rotors in here that we'll eventually use for osmiridium things. Bolts are over here. We have small gears. Uh, Apparently, I haven't configured any big gear recipes yet. Here's the pipes, and then I haven't configured any rings yet. So I've just been going in here and just like telling us to make stuff. And whenever I find something we can't make, I'm like, oh, hey, let's make that. So if I go to like EV circuit, right, and I say, hey, make a stack of EV circuits, I look through and I say, hey, we can make everything except ingots. So we can't make copper ingots and platinum ingots. Um, so that's actually what I want to work on today. So I want to set up a multi-block smelter, the electrical one. I have all the stuff needed to build it here. And then I also wanted to hook up our EBF to our hook up our EBF to our what's it called? Our AE system so that it is crafting using AE rather than using what's this thing called? Logistic pipe, because we can't even really use the logistic pipes. They're like, all over the place. So yeah. Let's get to it. Let's start with that multi-smelter over here. So do before I disconnect everything, do I need anything? I think we're actually good on everything we need over here. So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure everything's empty over here. Where's my axe? Is it in my tool belt? Is it in a different memory card? Is it in my inventory? It is in my inventory. Wow. Okay, let's get rid of this guy. You did a good service. Thank you for your service, Steam Smelter, but your time is over. It is time for new technology to step in and take your place. Alright, and we're no longer going to need the steam pipe coming over this way. And we don't really need these steam turbines either anymore because they're not hooked up to anything. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these. I can just actually go over here, break this one, and then vein mine those. Okay, good stuff. Cleaned up some space down here thanks to getting rid of those pipes. Okay. Build that in. Alright, so here's our multi-smelter hole. So I'm going to be having... We need to talk about how we're actually going to do this. So multi-blocks are a little different than machines because they don't input and output on the same side like these machines do. So we actually have to set up a little bit more logistics to actually get stuff in and out of these machines. So we're going to have an input bus and an output bus. That much is standard and straightforward. But we're also going to have... Does this thing need a muffler hatch? I didn't actually look at the structure. Oh, we need a muffler hatch. Whoops-a-daisy. Okay, so we can put energy hatches anywhere. We can put input bus, output bus, and energy hatches on top or on bottom. Doesn't matter where we put them. Okay, easy enough. But we do need a muffler hatch. Doesn't matter which tier muffler hatch we make because we're not playing with the mechanics where it's relevant. Tin ingots. Y'all. I guess we're going to use this guy. This works, right? Yes, okay. Alright, there's our tin ingots. I don't know why I put the dust away there, and then I put the other stuff away here. Alright. That's all crafting. I gotta show you all a craft with this once we get our multi-smelter set up. It is so, like, glorious to watch. Alright. Alright, got our muffler hatch. So now we can put this together. I'm gonna put just heat-proof casings right there so we can build our controller. I'm gonna build our coils right here. I guess this this illuminated light there could just stay there because like it doesn't need to be open, so. Alright, I'm gonna put my muffler hatch up here and I'm gonna do power and input output on the bottom. Okay, so we have our smart cable here. This is our main branch from our controller, so we can pull a P2P off of here. And I am thinking... So this one is gonna be maxed once we get all the machines up there. I'm thinking we'll probably have multiple, what's it called? Multiple multi-blocks coming in along this kind of lane. So I will do a P2P right here. And then I'll do a dense cable coming across here and I'll branch off smart cables as we need them for channels. So let's get P2P. I'm like, what's happening? It's not really doing anything. I guess we were making processors there. And then the processor takes and puts in the next one. It's nice that it uses the assemblers in a round-robin manner. Like, watch this, right? Let me just make... I have a bunch of copper wires, right? Let me make a bunch of copper cables. Isn't that just, like, a thing of beauty? And, like, look how fast it's making them. Crafting 8 at a time. We're already halfway done with that. Anyways, I'm just gonna cancel the craft. We don't need to do all that right now. And when I cancel the craft, it leaves the machines empty because it filled them with a when it put the machines in there, it like, put an exact quantity of stuff. Okay. So what was I doing? I can put away the old steam smelter. We don't need that. Don't need the pipes at the moment. I needed the P2P. I need some dense cable. Let's just do like, I got rid of the +10 button. Now I'm like, oh, I just want like 10. Nope. Deal with the consequences of my actions. So here it goes. Look at it's just a thing of beauty, right? Using all 4 of those assemblers in tandem. And it's already done with all of those. Beautiful. And I don't have any other of these, but let me just craft a handful of those to be available. Okay, so this line is actually kind of in an awkward spot for this. I'm going to break this line over here once this craft finishes. Do I even need anything on this craft? This is just the extruders, right? Yeah, no, we don't need any of the extruders. Let me just break... I'm going to leave that one. I'm going to break those cables there and swing this back this way. Give me a few non-dense cables. All right, now I'm going to pull the I guess now that I'm looking at this, I was thinking I was going to pull the cable in a separate place, but no matter. All right, P2P tunnel. We get our advanced memory card. We're going to bind the input of a not set. All right. And then we are going to bring out some dense cables. Let's make sure these do not connect. I mean, I connected them now, but I'm going to disconnect them now. Let's see, what color should we use today? How about black and blue? All right. All right, and then here's where we're going to be working with our guy here. Let me color our main network here. What did I color it here? Maybe I should just like have our entire main network or entire cable colored a color already, so that when I am working on inured, I don't have to paint multiple colors. Why don't I just do that really quick? So let's paint my entire like main signal providing part of my network let's just set it all as black. All right, this will only take a second, so this goes over here. How did that become blue? Excuse me? Did we run out of black dye? Is that what happened? Okay, well, I have kind of made a conundrum for myself here because I have everything disconnected. Can I just use like ink sacs on the cables directly? Will it let me do that? It does not let me do that. Yeah, this is the problem right here. Okay, let me just grab those guys. Can I just dye these like this? Come on, don't do this to me, game. I mean, I did it to myself, I understand, but still. Like, everything is offline. I broke everything. I broke our entire storage. All of my items are locked up in here. I can't get into them. Cry. Alright, let's uncraft this guy really quick. And then let me go to a regular crafting table, and I can do this recipe. And then turn these back into, wait, why can't I turn them smart? Buddy. Okay, what am I doing? Chisel. I forgot about chisel. I can chisel them into a different color. Okay, let's turn them back uncolored. Turn them back into dense cable. Put them there. Black. Okay. Gee, what an embarrassing mistake, am I right? Alright, now we can see our stuff again, right? Yes, okay. So now I can grab a bunch of black dyes, and then put this in here, load it up with ink sacs. Alright, there we go. And then we can get back to black. There we go, perfect. Okay, jeez. What a freaking disaster that was. How did I even manage that? So that one should be colored. It's gonna go along this way. Whoop, got a little bit of lag there. I should have pre-colored these, but like I wasn't thinking about it. All right, almost done. Just need to color the last little bit of this over this way. All right, so our main line is now entirely colored in black. And this thing is like almost out of battery. It kind of has a crappy battery, doesn't it? Why don't I wear a battery as a like bubble to recharge my stuff anyways? Where's Energium crystal? Let me just steal an Energium crystal from one of these guys. Sure, this machine is probably okay. I can discharge mode enabled, and then I can go to a bubble, toss it in one of these slots, and hey, how about that? We now have, wait, why is it draining? What is it using power on? I'm a little confused. What is using power here? Oh, my battery. Okay, okay. Never mind. I was like, is it just like discharging into the atmosphere for some reason? Very confused. Okay. All right, so let's do over here. Time will tell if this is going to be a mistake, but I am going to do power on this side. And then I'm going to do input and output over here. So let's do input, output, and then these two will just be heat-proof machine casings. And I am using MV energy hatches so that we can just use MV combustion generators. Just put them to use of some kind. Yeah, and now I'm like, gee, I wish I didn't have the line right here. Buddy, why did I do this? Okay. Let me let me see what this is. So 7886. Let me remember that. 7886 is the current one this is on. I'm going to move this back to how I had it because I'm indecisive sometimes. Okay, and then oh, we're not connected to the network. All right, 7886. You need to be bound to 7886. This one. Okay. Find. Okay, now they are both 8069. Nice. Okay. Wait a second, what? That's not correct. Buddy, what did you do? We need a bind input. Do we have one without an output now. Oh, geez. Where's my network visualizer? Network visualizer. Okay. So we should have 3 inputs. I need to go fix this mess I made down here. So these 2 are going somewhere. This one is not going anywhere. 77886. Okay, this is the one that I wanted to rebind. So copy this one, or select that one. Come up here, and it unselected it. Okay, well, is it still visible? 7886 here. Why did that not work earlier? I don't know why it shows 2 in here, but it's fine. Okay. So 8069, now I need to find another unlinked one. So these 4 on the bottom are linked. Here, this one's not going anywhere. 0784. I could also use my regular memory card manually, but I'm trying to get used to this one. Okay. Shift right click. 0784. Find input. Okay. We good? I think we're good. Wait, what? Why is this output side? Why are these both blue? Hold on, this is supposed to be output side. Input side. Okay, I don't know why they're both showing up as blue. This memory card on this mod is a little buggy. It's like duplicating stuff, showing multiple copies of things in my UI there, but I think we're all set. Let me look at network visualization tool. Yep, those are coming up as we expect. Getting 8 channels on that. We're getting 0 channels on this one because we're not using any. 30 over there, 6 over here, 23 over there. Yep, this all looks correct. And then 28 back on this one. Wow, 28 already? There's only 4, not 4. There's only 8 left on that. It's 8? No, 4. 32. Okay. Gee, I'm losing it. Okay, let's do what we were trying to do here. So we are going to have... Let me pre-chisel these cables here. For this network, let's just use light blue right next to the black cable. Okay, so we are going to have an input bus. Basically, we want the input bus to feed the machine directly, so that's where we want our interface to point, is at the input bus. However, the input bus can suck items into it automatically. So we could get by using a buffer. Here's what I think we want to do. Let's swap places with this here and here. We'll have the output bus here. That's going to stay there. Let me grab an interface. Why am I searching in JEI and then waiting for some kind of result? Interface with our logistic pipe. Grab it from over there. All right, so we're going to have this here, and we're going to have this interface. You can right-click it with a wrench, and you can set it to be directional. So we are going to get confused about which way it's pointing. There we go. We're going to point it this way. And then we're going to have something that acts as a buffer into this chest, into this bus. I'm just going to use like a regular vanilla chest. That'll be fine. All right, the furnace does not need any circuits, so this is why this works for this. And then the output will just dump the items straight in there. And there should never be items that are stuck down here unless the input bus gets full for some reason. All right, now that leaves me room on this side to hook up some advanced combustion generators. And for the power... honestly, I think we just use mana steel cable seems fine. I could also like move this closer. Wait, no, I can't because there's only room for 4 generators over here, or 3. All right, let's grab some mana steel. Whoops, went down too far. Bonk, 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 bonk. And then bonk, bonk. And then let's get our wire cutter, get these all together. I think I can put my painter away for the moment. Wire cutter. Connect all of these guys. All right. That is all connected. So now we just need to bring fuel to these combustion generators and they should run. And I think I'm going to bring fuel via this tank right here. But I would like to change these fuel conduits to ender conduits. So let's make some ender fluid conduits. Or maybe we're not even going to make them. Maybe we're just going to... You know, one thing that did occur to me is that if I wanted to distribute fuel to our base, instead of using logistic pipes, I could just use a GPS. And I'm kind of considering doing that. Fluid. We have these fluid transfer nodes. And then GPS markers that are pretty easy to make. What is this? Dye light blue. Okay, well... we have lapis, we have bone meal. How about we just have some dye light blue then? Boom. Let's automate this guy real quick. Wait a second. That doesn't work. Yeah, that pattern is not correct. That needs to be light blue. Okay, that works. If I allow substitutions, what's going to happen on this? If I try to craft a bunch of GPS. Okay, it's requesting light blue specifically. That seems fine then. All right. So where all do we need fuel? Let's distribute our fuel line. First of all, our fuel is going to come in from over here. So let's do... I guess we can just hook it up right there, and then we can tell this tank to auto output. So this is now transferring stuff. What is preview hidden, though? Preview rendered? I don't know what that button does. Okay. Let's get some GPSs now. So how many tanks do we have around? 1, 2 over there. We have 3 behind the EBF. 4 up here, and then we're going to have a 5th one over here. So let's do 5 GPS markers. All right. Let me... Oh, also I'll be able to relocate these tanks if I want, since these aren't going to be stuck bound to it anymore. Let me go ahead and break that. Here we will have our... Doesn't really matter what kind of tank it is. I just like to use these portable tanks because they are easy to dump out if I need to dump them out, like back into our main storage. All right, so Ender fluid conduit. We have 4 of them. Can you make ender fluid conduits? Like, do you know how to do that? No, it doesn't know how to make ender alloy anymore. That's fine. I also have some in my inventory, so I don't know why I requested more. Alright, we just need to set this to extract. And then we are going to set a GPS right there. Okay? And then stick that in there. And that is now pulling and sending fluid up there. See? All full. And these are all full too now. Nice. So I wanted to go over here and turn this off from extracting and pull all of the fluid out of this pipe, because I want to replace these. Let me use the wrench so I don't make some kind of horrible mistake. I want to replace these with ender fluid conduits as well. I'm going to disconnect the top here and extract from the side. Is this where I want the tank though? You know what? No, it's not. So let's move our tank. I would like it more off to the side, like over here would be nice. So I'm gonna throw it here, extract, and then a GPS marker, that bad boy. Boom, fuel supplied. Let's go behind our furnaces. These are already set up to ender, so we are good in that front. We really don't need the logistic pipe coming in through here anymore, but like it's kind of blocked in there pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and I'll disconnect these pieces. We'll disconnect the others some other time. Anyways, did I GPS marker? Nope, GPS marker. And fuel supplied to the EBF area. This one I feel like it kind of sticks out over here, so let me actually go ahead and put some of this junk away. Oh my goodness, how did my inventory get so full? Says the person with chronically full inventory. Alright, let's go ahead and I want to move the tank. Can I dolly the tank? Nope. Alright. I'm going to move it on. I'm going to move it like over here. My inventory still feels too full, even though I just like got rid of something in it. Okay. Well, let's put this here. We are going to, okay, get everything extracted into the tank. Perfect. Pick up these conduits. Let's place our new ender fluid conduits. And we do have enough, but just barely. I'm going to disconnect this one, and we're going to extract on the side. Okay. GPS. And place. Alright, one more. And I think I'm actually pretty happy with this one's location, so I'm just going to break these guys. Ugh, I'm not happy with those pipes, though. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pick this up, and then I'm going to use a cell to get some fluid out of here so we can drain these pipes, because I don't want to, you know, waste the fuel that's already in the pipes. Okay, so those are empty now. And grab these conduits. We don't have any ender fluid conduits, so hopefully this is fine to be without power for like a minute. We're gonna put our tank back now. GPS marker is already set, okay. And I need to go get fluid conduits now for that guy. Ender fluid conduit. We are going to need to teach our system how to make them. So let's go ahead, ender fluid conduit. We just need to make these ender enhanced alloys. So first we're going to encode this recipe, and now we need to encode this recipe. Goes in the alloy smelter, which is the top row. So we should be able to make... Oh, we're missing rose gold, huh? I'm pretty sure we have some rose gold, yeah. Let me just put 2 pieces over here to smelt really quick. I'm just going to wait it out for it to finish smelting. Okay. Now can I get my ender fluid conduit? Alright. Quick. That's what you like to see. Go back over here. Hook these guys up. I'm going to shift left click the tank and then hit extract. And alright, all of our fuel has been reset to now work wirelessly. That's pretty fun, right? I could also do the same thing here with creosote, so I'm not having to run a freaking tube all the way down there for the Botania setup. But for now, I think we're okay with what we have. Let me return the fluid I took from the chemistry area. Alright. And finally, we can also set up our furnace. So this is idling. It should be good to run here. We don't need this chest here anymore. Alright, first multi-block automated. Let's go. Where's my quartz knife? Did I put my knife in here for some reason? Hello? Quartz knife? Is it in my inventory and I just do not see it again? MV energy hatch. Why do I have MV energy hatches? Why do I have 2 of these in my inventory? I'm just gonna assume that I had 4 in that chest for some reason. And that I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. Quartz cutting knife, though. Alright, I have no idea where my quartz cutting knife has gone. Could it be in this bag? Nope, there's a stone stair in there, but, like... No idea where that came from. Where might have my quartz cutting knife have gone? Like, I'm just gonna make a new one if I don't find it in, like, 30 seconds, but... Per usual, I am mildly perturbed at my ability to lose things. Is it, like, in the terminal? Nope, no idea where it is. Over here, maybe? Nope, okay, well, I give up. It's probably gonna show up somewhere, so... Just make a new one, not a big deal. Except for some reason my system doesn't want to recognize that we had a matching file in our system. Alright, so the reason I made that is because we needed to go down here and we need to name this to furnace. Because that's just our plain old furnace boy. And then because this does the multi-smelter, if we read this description, the multi-smelter actually does parallel smelting based on the coil. So if we look at the coil block here, a multi-smelter has a bonus max parallels 32 using 16 EU per tick on copper nickel. But we are using, what did I put here? Canthal. So Canthal coils can do max parallels of 64 with 32 EU per tick per recipe. So that means if it was doing 64 times 32 EU per tick, it would be doing, what is that? 2048 power? 64 times 32. Yeah, it would be using 4 amps of HV. And obviously we're only giving it 1 amp of HV, so it's only going to be able to do a quarter of that. But I will go ahead and when I set recipes up over there, I will parallelize them slightly. I will bulk them is what I mean to say. So let's make a few recipes for that. Let's do Now that I think about it, I just remember at Neve's AE stuff, that's these things here, including my very favorite program circuit card, has the pattern multi-tool. Let me make one of these, because that's going to be a handy thing to have. I can go ahead and speed this up. Nope, it's gone. Okay. I can go ahead and speed that up. Ooh, what's your problem? Don't tell me I messed up my P2P tunnel somehow. Oh, you know what? I bet the connection over here somehow got messed up when we connected and disconnected everything. Let me just reconnect everything over there. See if that fixes it. There we go. That fixed it for whatever reason. I'm not gonna question it. Like that interface forgot that it's supposed to be accepting items. All right, so this tool right here, whoops. This tool has a thing over here where we can load a bunch of patterns in. And we can replace items with other items, or we can multiply the recipe sizes. So I'm going to be using this in a second, but let me go ahead and actually I can stick them in here as we're making them. So though it might just be easier to stick them in my inventory and then load them up. All right, so what kind of ingots do we want to be making? Ingots. Okay, first of all, annealed copper ingot. I haven't set that to be automated. Let me do that first. What is the recipe we're currently using? I think we're using copper dust, right? Not ingot. Copper dust in the arc furnace makes annealed copper. Yeah, let's do that one there. Okay, so that goes into the arc furnace. All right, that out of the way. Let's do battery alloy, sure. I mean, I don't really feel like I've actually been using a lot of battery alloy because this is for like batteries. If I don't do it, I'm gonna like regret doing it. Okay, let me just do it. So smelting, shift click. Oh, shift click puts it over there. Okay, then never mind. We are gonna be just loading it up over there. So brass is an alloy, bronze is an alloy, chrome is EBF. We don't need this metal. Copper is one that we need. Okay. Electrical steel is an alloy. I'm not going to sit here and make every single one of these right now, just the ones that we need. Energetic alloys and alloy. Who would have thought? Gallium. That's one we need. Iron we need. Kenthal. Lead we might need. I don't know. I'll make it. Nickel. What have we been using nickel for? Hold on. What uses nickel? I feel like we haven't used nickel for anything. Why do I have like nickel bars in here? Did I make nickel wires? What kind of wires are these even? They're just bad LV wires. Okay, cool. Yeah, why do we have nickel ingots? Kind of confused about that. How about we just chuck those in the trash can? Because they're a waste of space if they're not used for anything. Let's see. Rose gold, signalum. Signalum, I know you're allowed to make this in the furnace, but like it's clearly not intended. There's an EBF recipe over here, and it's like not even a hard EBF recipe, but still, I'm gonna do it as intended. Even though like now we're at the point where it's like borderline not necessary. Like it's gonna be almost just as easy either way. Spectre ingot is a crafting recipe. Okay. Tantalum. I know that's in the furnace. tin is in the furnace. Wrought iron, zinc is in the furnace. Okay, so here's what our furnace is currently filled with, recipe-wise. We can now go in here and we can multiply our recipe. So now it makes 4 gallium ingots with 4 gallium dust. I'm going to set it to 8 because that seems like a good spot for it to be. And now, how can I get these out? Can I like shift click them here? Okay, that was pretty neat. I'll hang on to this tool. That was a neat tool. Thank you, Nee, for that tool. All right, and now let's check that our furnace runs. In fact, let's do like a kind of a bigger craft. So let's do like EV circuit. Let's do 4 of these guys. What are we missing? Platinum ingot. Okay. We're immediately going to need a capacity card for that furnace. What's it? Pattern capacity? Pattern expansion, I see. All right, and then we need to do platinum ingot. Go ahead and double it in here to 8. All right, pattern card and then platinum. Oh, and then I totally forgot. We want to make sure items can only go through one face of the interface. I guess it doesn't matter because it's pointing at the chest. All right, let's go ahead and see if this works. Let's do some EV circuits. 4 EV circuits. We should be able to craft everything. Let's do it. Did the furnace already run? If it did, good grief, that was fast. I like came over here to watch it run, and it just is like, no, we're done already. All right, what's happening here? So we're currently wire milling a bunch of things. We're circuit crafting a few circuits. So these guys up here are running. Don't you just love to see that it's working both circuit lines in parallel there? It's doing the MV and the HV ones. All right. Just enjoying watching this, to be honest. Maybe we do want to have more circuit assemblers, but I mean, I don't know. We don't really need circuits that fast. Like, we don't need to be like sitting here making hundreds of circuits a second or anything. What is this, like Factorio? Don't you love to see it though? I mean, just look, it's a thing of beauty. All right, and our last couple of circuits are crafting. It's making the last HV circuit, and then it'll be able to make the last MV circuit. Okay, well, everything seems to work. I'm going to go ahead and wait for that to stick the recipe in there and then cancel. Because that's already in there, it's going to finish crafting. Let me do a quick test on iron ingot. Let's just craft like 4 stacks of iron ingots. Okay, so this is actually throughput limited on how fast the what's it called can load into the bus. I'm not sure if that was throughput limited on the input or the output. Here, let's do a quick experiment here. Let's put the input bus on this side. Input bus here. Let's put the output bus there. And I will need a dolly here momentarily. And then let's point that up at the input bus. Let's see how fast this goes now. What other kind of ingots do we need? We could use more copper. Like, you always need copper ingots, right? Did I not teach our... Oh, okay, I was not accepting my click for some reason. Okay, so it's just throughput limited on the, it was just throughput limited on the chest. I think the way we had it before is fine. Alright, I need to get these out of here. Plop. Throw those back into storage so it knows that the craft is done. How did that get the... It stole the ingots from the return there. Alright, I'm just going to move this back how we had it. Output. Input. This there. Point them downwards. Alright. Alright, so... Ingots nicely automated. Alright, now I would like to do the EBF because I've been liking to craft some stuff with the EBF. And it's like, hey, did you know your EBF is unplugged and you cannot plug it in until you remake all your recipes? But I'm like, bro, I don't want to do all that off camera. What if I miss an important event or something? So I wanted to at least like kind of set it up. Because this is also going to be a different setup. Now we're dealing with fluids as well, so... Okay, got a lot of stuff floating around me. Let's go... Where did I put my project table? Crafting station? Alright. Let us return all of these to regular stacked recipes. And then let me go and finish getting the logistic pipes out of the hair of these machines so that they don't have to look at them anymore. They're probably just like seen them for so long, they're like, ugh. Brother, ugh. I'm still gonna need a connection over here. So, let's see. We can connect from over here to up here. Let me make sure I have enough pipes. Unrouted pipes, we'll take some of these, and then some basic pipes. We'll take some of those. I will throw those on the floor, never mind. And we're just having that right now for helium. Though I could keep this stocked with like a fluid export bus or a fluid interface. Might be something I do in the future. For now, I just want to go ahead and have this come over here. What's up here? That goes to endstone, okay. Basic pipe here. This is now connecting from the backside. So the connection used to come from up and then it came down here. So let's put a basic there. And that here. What is over here for again? This is for oxygen return and then rutile dust. So at some point we're going to want like an interface over here to, probably a dual interface to accept the oxygen and then to provide rutile. Okay, and then here we are still providing helium via the logistic pipe. That's fine for now. Okay, something there over there caught my eye for a second. I was like, wait, what is that? All right, I'm gonna open up the floor over here just so this is a little easier to work with. Because now we are going to need another block from our multi-block line. And do I want to pull this line over there? Honestly, I might just pull this line over there. So why don't I go ahead and do that? So let's do... I already have some light blue cables here. So let's do some light blue cables. I don't want it to connect with that, so I'm just going to go around. And then from here, they don't really need to be colored. So let me just chisel these guys back to Fluix, and then I can convert them back to regular cables. Okay, because we are on this branch that's for multi-blocks now. Okay, so how are we going to handle this? Um, that is a good question. So we have two different input buses, and we kind of want to use them both. We can't exactly use the program circuit card. That's what I'm trying to say. At least I can't think of a way we can use the program circuit card, because the issue with the program circuit card is that, no, I guess there's some ways I could think that we could use it. We would have to use like a fluid phantom face. Basically, a fluid phantom face makes a copy of a block and then lets you have that copy of a block somewhere else. So we could use a fluid phantom face to get the fluid into the fluid input hatch, but then we would need the interface still pointed. Oh yeah, that's the problem. We would need the fluid interface pointed at the input bus, and then the fluids would need to go in the fluid phantom face. I don't know why that wouldn't work, to be honest. That sounds like that should just work. In fact, I have a test world where I've been trying to test some settings. Let me go pull that up really quick and see if that's something I specifically tested. Let's see. That is, well, this is an old version of our world here. That's before I converted it to the server. Let's go here to my test world. This is where I test a few things that I don't want to just spawn in and test in our main world, obviously. Okay, we are loaded in over here. So I've been trying to various setups for trying to make this work. And I think, to be honest, one of our best methods to make this work might be, let me pop that out of here. So we have a recipe. This is our recipe, right? It's just, what is this thing? Okay, this is our recipe. We use program circuit 0. Not that program circuit 0 is needed in this recipe, it's just part of this. And we use water, salt, and flour, and it's supposed to make 4 dough. That's the recipe. We have a program circuit card with water packets in here for some reason. Let me just clean everything out. Okay, so we have an input bus. The input bus is set to circuit 26. That's just a random circuit I put on there. And then we're going to have like a fluid input hatch. And the fluid input hatch, the problem with the fluid input hatch is that there's no multi-block that is shaped in such a way where it's going to be... Actually, there are some multi-blocks that are shaped in a way like that, aren't there? Like this one, I think, for example, is shaped that way. Yeah, this one does have a unique shape where you could have the interface kind of sitting in the corner between multiple blocks, but most multi-blocks are square. And because, like, okay, maybe this one, you could also have it because there's this interesting space up here. But most multi-blocks are square in some way. This one has a shape that would work. This one's shape would work, actually. Well, actually, there's kind of a lot that would work. But here we go. Large autoclave, for example. This would not work for what I'm talking about. So most multi-blocks are going to have this kind of shape, where they have the input bus and then a input hatch. And I'm just using a quadruple input hatch. It's a input hatch with 4 different tanks. So in order to get the fluid in there, we would set this, has to specifically be allow splitting of items, send the real fluid, block all, so we need to check both this for items and we need to check that for fluid. But since this can't be touching that, we have to somehow proxy this against the interface. So the way we would do that would be a phantom face. We could do a phantom liquid face, throw that there. We use a phantom linker to tie that to this tank. So now This phantom face is get out of here for a second. There we go. I was having some trouble there with that. So this phantom face is basically that tank. So if we put water into that phantom face, I don't think we can actually do that, actually. But if water got injected into this phantom face, like here, we can put this on top here. And then we can wrench it with a crescent hammer. So that water just went to that phantom face, but where it actually went is in here, which is the quadruple input hatch. So this is acting as a proxy for that tank. So, I'm going to get my plunger. If we clear that, and then we do the recipe. First of all, let me cancel this one. So we request a ball of dough. It's going to say, hey, we put the recipe in here, we set the program circuit to 0, and we also put the water in. Where's the water? Why did the water go down there? Oh, no. Oh, no. Blank pattern. This is kind of like the problem dealing in creative mode sometimes. You just mess everything up. Interface. Alright. Put that in there. Put the pattern card in there. Put that in there. And I'm also going to put the autocomplete in there so I don't have to cancel the job every time. Okay, so it did put the items in there. It didn't put the water in there. So let's try again without the other tank on the bottom. There was a input hatch on the bottom that I didn't see. So now let's see what happens if we put dough. So it got the water in there and it got the items in here. Great. Because this is a phantom liquid face and there's no item slots in here. So it's not trying to push items into here. Great. And then if I try to order another one, it requests another one because I forgot to turn blocking mode on. Okay. We're okay still. And if I request another one, it does not push any more items into here because there's items currently. But it sure didn't check for fluid, did it now? It pushed the fluid in there despite the items being in here. So I think blocking mode doesn't work. Not like perfectly exactly anyways. Is that going to be a problem? For like the EBF, no. But for other recipes, it might be a problem. For like, if we tried to do chemical reactor, we definitely can't be mixing random chemicals in there with random control circuits because it's just going to break stuff, right? Yeah, I think ultimately the problem is that this interface needs to be pointing at that input bus. And for some reason, it's not respecting the phantom face here. See, even though it was blocked, if I go ahead and craft another one, even though it's blocked because of the items in here, as soon as the items are gone, it stuffs more items in there, but it stuffs more water in here too. So I'm like, buddy, why are you doing that? We could also lock crafting until primary crafting result is returned. Like, that would be what we would need to do if we set up like a big old large chemical reactor or something, and we're just sending a recipe and then sending fluids over. Like, we would have to send one recipe, wait to get the fluid back, and then we can do the next one. Yeah, well, we're just gonna have to see. I don't know why this isn't working though, like genuinely. Even if I put tank here, just like a regular old tank. Put the tank up there. Let's request another ball of dough. See that? Well, that was correct because it was empty. But if I do another one, oh, why is it working now? Now it seems to be working, right? That's weird. It wasn't working with the phantom face? No, wait. Now it's... Oh, you know what? I think it's locked because it never got the ball of dough back. Yep, that was it. Okay. But now if we request a ball of dough, and then we take this out. Yep, it went ahead and put extra water. So if we want to do that, we need to use this this blocking mode there. And that could be fine if we have like a ton of multi-blocks and we're gonna set them up using P2P stuff. But yeah, we're just gonna have to see about things. That's just a quick demonstration of what we could do with our multi-blocks. I think we are going to do a more simple setup for now. Okay, so we have the buffer in here currently. I think we're going to go ahead and have two separate buses. So we're going to have the input bus 2 and the input bus 1. So that we don't have to worry about having the circuit card in there. Because really it's the circuit card that complicates it, having that against the input bus. So let's just go ahead and... we can basically copy the setup we have, except I'm going to want a return on items. How do we get a return on items? Let me think, because we are putting items in here and then we are dumping them into the vacuum freezer if they're hot. I could also just have an OR dictionary bus. Let's see how about making an OR dictionary bus. OR dictionary or dict storage bus. Okay. So we can use one of these guys. And an OR dictionary storage bus is like a storage bus, except you can use this over here. And what is the... what kind of upgrade cards can you put in it? Sticky. What does a sticky card do again? Okay, so if I understand, I just looked it up. If I understand the... Uh... if I understand how the sticky bus works, basically it says whenever something comes in, it has to go here if there's a filter here. And that's actually something really interesting, because now I'm like over here looking at these setups, and these can have sticky upgrades, I just realized. Fluid storage. What else could we put? Fluid storage bus. I spelled that wrong. The only upgrades we could put is inverter, capacity, and sticky here. So like if we had a sticky card here, that would mean oxygen tries to come in our network. It has to come in this tank. It can't go anywhere else. So that's actually really interesting. Huh. I'll have to think about how to use that, but we'll definitely want it for our OR dictionary storage bus. Why? Because we don't want hot ingots going into our storage. We want hot ingots going into the vacuum freezer. So let's see here. Let's go ahead and make a sticky card. Gotta make a basic card first. Gotta make gold ingots first. Did I not teach our thing how to make gold ingots? How dare I? Gold ingot. Yeah, I'm gonna actually need a gold ingot to be able to stick it in here first. There we go. whoops, we want to 8 exit. All right, we're going to go to furnace. And why is this showing crafting interfaces only? Toggle showing interfaces with full slots. Yeah, why are you showing this? Is this not full slots, buddy? Do you know what full slot? Oh, this is because this is what interface. Got it. Okay. Because we have the expansion card over there. Okay, so it's still treating it as one interface. I thought it like hides the entire row. Anyways, let's craft. Let's actually just auto craft these guys really quick. Stick that in there, and now we should be able to auto craft. No, we're probably not gonna. I made the wrong terminal. That's part of my problem. All right. There we go. We got our sticky card. So our sticky card is going to go over here. Oop. Get up here. All right. So we're not going to need this. We're not going to need this filter on here anymore, because the sticky card is basically going to be doing that purpose. So we're going to say here, ingot hot star. Well, I can't put the star over there. I can actually sample this over here, so let's see. We can, I think it's the same syntax, right? And or XOR not priority. Priority? I don't really understand what priority means. Star is still a wildcard. Okay, but we should be able to say ingot hot star, and it should accept all of these. And it shouldn't really accept anything else out of these. So I think that's all we need to have over here. Let me just go ahead and copy paste this over. Paste. Priority. I guess the priority doesn't matter with the sticky card, because hot ingots should always land here. And we're going to tell this to be insert only. Partition storage, I have no idea what that would do for some kind of pattern matching nonsense like this. Okay, so that's going to get our items into the vacuum freezer. Now we need to get items out of the vacuum freezer and out of the EBF. So how do we accomplish that? Well, let's see here. That's our fluid input hatch. This is our output bus here. Let me take all this titanium and put it in storage already. Put some other junk in storage as well. All right, so that's going to be our input. I think what I'd like to do is, let me get on top of here. Let me flip these around. Why is there a pump here? Okay, whatever. So I'm going to flip this around. This is going to be our input bus here. Wait, no. All right, I'm confused. Let me think. All right, input bus, input hatch. We're going to have our buffer here. We're going to use a fluid conduit to get the stuff into the doobly-doo, into the input hatch. we're going to have an interface right here. It's going to be a square interface. And this interface is both going to receive items out of the EBF. It's going to receive items out of the EBF, and it's going to also put items into this buffer here. It's going to be set to blocking mode. Block both fluid and item. And that should be all we need to do for that. And then over here, for this, because we need to run a cable over here, I'm just going to go ahead and put I'm going to go ahead and put an interface here. We can do a few things here. Hold on. Do we have fluid interfaces? Fluid interface. We do have fluid interfaces. Let me make one of these guys really quick. It's so satisfying to watch. All right, let me get some smart cables. Do I have enough channels? Now that I'm like looking over here, I only brought over 8 channels, right? Yeah, we should be okay with 8 channels. So I'm going to go down here, and we're going to put a regular interface down here. One interface, please. And let me turn it into a flat interface. We are going to name this is EBF Circuit 1. Or we can also put uncircuited things there if we want. All right, so this is going to come over this way, and that is now hooked up to that interface. This interface is EBF Circuit 2/fluids. Just in case, you know, there's a EBF recipe that uses fluids that's not on circuit 2. And then I'm going to bring this over here and hook this up there. And we are going to have a return on the vacuum freezer. So let me get another interface for that one. Interface. And I want my fluid interface here as well. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this now because we are handling helium right now. All right, so get my fluid interface, get my item interface. So do I just want to put a dual interface here? You know, I think a dual interface would work, and it saves us a channel, so let's do that. So let's make a ME interface plus an interface makes a dual interface that can handle both items and fluids. I'm going to take this away. I'm just going to dump it in here for now, because there's room in this tank. Then I'm going to put the dual interface here. We are going to configure the bottom of the dual interface. What are we configuring here? Like, what side is this on? Whatever. Helium. So we're going to put helium over here. I'm going to set this to be hidden on the interface terminal because we're just using this to push items in and out of this guy. And instead of having a input interface over there, I'm just going to grab some item pipes. And I'm going to use pipes because they are instantaneous and they are much faster than item conduits. So item pipe, connect that there. make it one way as if it matters. I mean, it might matter, I don't know. So that should be both providing fluid to the vacuum freezer. Just as a test, I'm going to clear this out of the helium and see what it does. That, in fact, did not provide helium. Do we have the wrong helium in here? This is the correct helium. Do we not have helium hooked up over here? Helium gas. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that... I don't have the... Okay, I'm dumb. It's okay. It is quite alright. I didn't have the thing set up. Alright, there we go. That should be our EBF hooked up. That is now providing helium here. As soon as 2 helium is processed, so it needs to process 2 helium. As soon as 2 helium is processed, the redstone signal will become too weak to power the pump that sucks the helium in here. So we now have 2 helium in there. We have 8,000 in here, but it's okay because there's room to catch it all. This is a bigger hatch than the front one. So 7,000, and it's not pulling anymore. Okay, that's perfect. And now we don't need this pipe running over here. This pipe serves no purpose anymore. Hooray. I love things that serve no purpose anymore. And then over here, similarly, we can do the same kind of situation. Let's go ahead and pull some smart cables over here. Smart cables. You like how I'm still using my logistic pipe to actually get stuff to me because I don't currently have wireless access to my AE2 system. All right, let's get another interface. I'm gonna need to go upstairs to craft these. So interface, I'm gonna grab one of these for now, and then I'm gonna request a dual interface. And then while the dual interface is crafting, I'm gonna go right here and we're gonna route this over here. So let's get our interface now. Fluid interface. Where am I looking? I'm like looking in the wrong container. Here's our fluid interface. We are going to make a dual interface again. I'm just going to stick it right here. We do not need that connected there. I will want to supply on the brown. I will want to supply rutile. So here we will put rutile. How do you get more in here? Oh, mouse wheel seems to be working. Okay. So we'll supply a stack of rutile here. And then the fluid interface will... Well, first we'll hide this from the interface terminal. The fluid interface will be set to receive on brown, which should be receiving oxygen. Yep, okay. And then this chest is no longer needed. Just making sure there's no filter in there. All right. Okay, and as soon as we get some rutile, that should be working again. Honestly, we don't really need to pass the hot ingots over here either, but it's already set up, so I'm just going to leave it as is. But if I wanted to, I could just dump the hot ingots into our storage as well. And our storage should throw it over here via the sticky card. All right, really quickly, I'm curious. Let's do a quick experiment on our EBF and the sticky card. So we know that Kanthal, when we make Kanthal, we know that it makes a hot ingot that needs to be cooled in the vacuum freezer, right? So let's make a recipe for Kanthal. And I'm going to go to the hot ingot recipe. We're going to use the nitrogen recipe with circuit 2. And instead of making a hot ingot, I'm just going to tell it makes a cold ingot. Because the hot ingot's going to get automatically cooled by our system. So let's go to EBF. That's going to go in circuit 2/fluids. Let's request a Canthal ingot. And I put the priority really low on purpose to test how that sticky bus works properly. Okay, so right out of the gate, something has not worked. Okay, what is that? Hold up, what did I just see? Tiny pile of ashes. I didn't know mufflers collect tiny pile of ashes. That's interesting. Alright, but why have we not done anything here? The nitrogen is in? Oh, I know what the issue is. Okay. I'm going to break the buffer temporarily. We did not set circuit 2 in here. So circuit 2. I'm going to put the buffer back. I'm going to put the dust back in the buffer as if the interface put it in there. Alright, there it is, cooking it up. 8-second craft. And then vacuum freezer. Perfect. And the vacuum freezer did not even, even though I had this set to negative 1,000 priority, it didn't care because it was like, hey, we have a sticky card. This is the only place that ingot hot star can go. So that is so good. Okay, well, we've done a lot this episode. We have automated our first... Seriously, bro? Just when it was going so well, I fall into a freaking hole. Okay, we have done so much this episode. We have automated our first multi-block with AE2, and then we automated our second multi-block with AE2. We automated both input circuit 1 and 2. So that's pretty great. We have hot ingots automatically coming over here, and we now replaced the pipes for helium to come over here. So that's like one less thing we really need to worry about, right? Being available. Rutile is not hooked up to AE2 if we ever get rutile. Let me just test rutile really quick. How do we get rutile again? It comes from processing aluminum, ilmenite, and bauxite. Okay, bauxite we have. Let me just put 4 pieces of bauxite in our stuff downstairs. And I will use our accelerator where appropriate. So we don't need to speed this one up, but this one we need to speed up a bit because it's kind of slow. Alright, so now this is going to start this step here. Bauxite, I believe we washed that, right, for gallium? I stopped washing it for gallium because we had way too much gallium. Okay. That's fine. For now. So it goes in here, thermal centrifuges, and then that gets done over there. Great. Which step of this is giving rutile again? The thermal centrifuge is giving rutile. Okay, so we should have some rutile now. So if I go over here, we should see this running. Perfect. So we have rutile over here running because we just had rutile here, and it's like, hey, we have rutile, pull it in. And then this should start running the EBF as soon as that chemical reactor finishes. Excellent. And then that should kick the ingot out. Alright, well. It's as easy as that to get titanium. Just wash some bauxite. There you go. It's not that easy. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's episode. If you are enjoying the series, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Now that we're getting into some more interesting systems, we're going to be doing less and less rudimentary things, I feel like. So, kind of exciting. But yeah. See you next time, where I'm going to have to figure out what we do. But I'm probably going to be setting up a bunch of other missing recipes that we used to have, just getting them back set up. So yeah, see you next time.